And like I said, once these drugs do become available, we believe that marijuana should be reclassified to a Schedule 1, so that has no medical purposes, because other drugs that are derived from marijuana have proved to be just as effective as marijuana, but in a much safer form rather than smoking it.
We also found that smoking marijuana deposits about 3 to 5 times more tar into the lungs than a filtered cigarette. And then
Also 5 times the amount of carbon monoxide and 10 times the amount of damage to the cells in the airway. So,
okay. I would like to say how you can say that marijuana hasn't been researched medicinally yet, because it's actually already on the floor today in Congress. In reality, today being introduced is a bill that will legalize marijuana and also open up prescriptions for doctors to give them to patients to hold a certain quantity of marijuana. It's actually on the Congress floor today, which means they have the backed medicinal purposes within them, which include glaucoma. It's been prescribed for that. Anxiety disorders, it helps with that. There's several things that it can help with, and I'm just trying to wonder why you said there are no medicinal purposes.
But then again, Jim, that bill has been passed around Congress for the last 30 years, and people from the Normal Organization and other advocates of pro-marijuana have been trying to get this bill through Congress, but it's never been quite successful. And you know why?
It's being debated today.
also, marijuana is classified as a Schedule 1. That means it has no medicinal purposes. It doesn't mean that it couldn't be reclassified to a Schedule 2 or 3, which takes away some of those restrictions that would allow the treatment for like glaucoma and things. But I believe that once these cannabinoids can be put into a pill form, that would help those cases just as much. I believe it should go back to having no medical use. But as it currently stands, for those serious conditions, it does have some medical use. But it doesn't mean that it should be legalized for everyone. It means it should be restricted, and you should have to do a prescription and things like that. Have a valid medical reason, not just because, oh, I'm feeling depressed. There's drugs out there that will help you get depressed and are undepressed and things like that. But marijuana doesn't really, the purpose of drugs in our society is to just even us out. It's not to excite the neurotransmitters in our brain to unnatural levels like marijuana does. You can't look at someone high on marijuana and seeing them laughing their ass off for like 20 minutes straight. You can't look at that and think that's normal. That's obviously an overstimulation of the brain.
Name the harms that it is providing right now.
Okay, physical damage that would be done to users that abuse the drug. Although some studies have been disputed, marijuana abuse has been tied to brain damage, cancer, lung damage,
That's
depression.
long-term abuse. That's going to happen regardless of legalization or not. I'm talking about name the harm that it does for the person who occasionally does it.
Let's see. It presents
Keyword
cognitive
occasionally.
deficiency 12 to 72 hours after use.
What did you say?
Loss of short-term memory.
Yeah.
and it also causes harm to bystanders by the second you smoke, so it's not just harming.
I.e. a contact high.
Okay, well, that's something that cigarettes already do to a lot of people, is provide that damage from secondhand smoke. So if it fits into a category with two things that are perfectly legal currently, why is it illegal?
Well, just
It should be provided. It should be legal because it would provide so many pros. It would free up, like I said, the courts, the cops. It would provide either less crime in the form of theft and other crimes like that, or great revenue for the government. And it has medicinal purposes, and it's linked to two very common, very socially acceptable drugs that are perfectly legal right now, as well as it has become socially acceptable to use it occasionally.
I don't think it's been socially acceptable.
70% of
a lot of
adults,
people may have used it, but I don't think it's socially acceptable.
70% of adults.
But what you're also saying about...
But then again, a majority of that percentage smokes sativa, not Indo, as many of the government research firms like to use to tabulate their research on marijuana. And sativa, if you know anything about pot itself, is a lower form. Where you have sativa here, which is just limited high, just gives you a little bit of a good experience, and then you have Indo here, which just blows your mind pretty much. And that's pretty much used for most of the, government testing. So it's not really, I can't say necessarily that, it would be fair to say that 70% of people use like the correct form of marijuana, because that's simply just not true, because most people can only get their hands on sativa because it's usually the most cheapest. And when weed is selling for like, $20 a gram, then people really, bakers can't really be choosers unless they want to, affect their their paycheck and how much they want to pay for the weed itself.
And like you said,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that saying marijuana should be legalized because alcohol and nicotine are illegal is kind of a bad statement, because if alcohol and nicotine were released today, there was no chance that they would ever become legal. There's no chance.
Well, like when you were saying about taxing marijuana for revenue in the government, you said that would be lying, cheating, and stealing. Well, that would be can't you say that same thing for nicotine and alcohol? We're getting money and revenue out of the addictions of some people.
You can't.
So I mean, you can't.
We're exploiting our population by allowing these things to happen. And that's,
They're things that the population wants to happen.
You think the population would like to have people out there drinking and driving?
No, but you think the
getting
population would like to be locked in their house without being able to touch alcohol for the rest of their life? There are too many people that enjoy the effects of alcohol that do it regularly.